This scene from Dhurandhar is inspired from the real incident that happened in Uttar Pradesh. A politician is being interviewed on live television, surrounded by cameras and surrounded by the police, and right in the middle of the live TV telecast, he was shot dead. In the middle of a live TV interview, in front of the cameras, in front of the police, a politician, a gangster was shot dead. And this guy had once contested election against our Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Varanasi.
मीडिया का रोल कहाँ नहीं है। मीडिया ने झूठ बोल बोल के मोदी जी को प्रधानमंत्री बना दिया। अब क्या बचा है?
A man with the ISI links running against the Prime Minister shot dead live on TV. And that is just the first character we are fact checking today, because almost every villain, every cop and every gangster in this film is based on a real person with a real name and a real case file, even though the movie claims it's fictional. So today let's go through this film character by character and find out exactly how much of Dhurandhar is actually real. Dhurandhar 2 has crossed 500 crores at the box office. People are calling it a blockbuster.
कम से कम 5-6 साल तक इससे बेटर मूवी नहीं आने वाली है।
बहुत ही बढ़िया, वन ऑफ द बेस्ट फिल्म्स आई वॉच्ड।
मुझे बिल्कुल कमी महसूस नहीं हुई।
डायरेक्टर से कहता हूँ ऐसी पिक्चर और बने।
And some are calling it a propaganda.
फिल्म को पूरा घुमा दिया है, पूरा 4 घंटा, मतलब इसमें फिर वो नोटबंदी ढकल दिया है। गवर्नमेंट से पैसा लेना है तो फिर उसी का ही लेवल लगा दीजिए ना भाई, इस पार्टी की पिक्चर है।
The film opens with a disclaimer. This is a work of fiction, which is kind of a standard practice in Bollywood, nothing very unusual about it, except the characters, the faces exactly matches the real people. The incidents in the film exactly matches the real events. So today we are going to fact check this film, Dhurandhar, scene by scene and character by character. In the film, we see a politician turned gangster get shot on the camera right in front of the police, right in front of the media. If you don't know much or enough about the North Indian politics, you might think this is some extra over dramatized scene. But this actually happened in real life just 3 years back. But before we get to that moment, you need to understand who Atiq Ahmed, this guy, actually was. Atiq Ahmed had been arrested in multiple cases over the years, around 160 cases total. But his most serious charges were murder, kidnapping and running an organized crime network across Prayagraj. Now the actual number of his crimes is believed to be much higher, because people were really scared of him and a lot of cases never even reported. It was only in March 2023 that he was finally convicted for a kidnapping case and sentenced to life imprisonment, and that was the first time he was ever convicted being a gangster. And even then the court seemed to be very cautious while dealing with him. Back in 2012, around 10 High Court judges actually backed down from hearing his bail application. Just think about it for a second. Even the judges in the court were scared of him. He was 5 times MLA in Prayagraj and 1 time even became an MP. In 2019, he contested against our Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Varanasi, but he got only 855 votes. But on the night of April 15 in 2023, Atiq Ahmed was being taken by police for a medical routine checkup in Prayagraj. He was surrounded by the police. The media was asking him some questions. He was actually saying something to the camera, and all of a sudden, he was shot dead on live television, and the entire country watched it happen in real time. But this assassination is just the surface level issue. The real story, what he told the police just before he died, is what Dhurandhar 2 is actually about. So according to a report by The Hindu, Atiq Ahmed told the police that he and his brother had direct links with the Pakistan's ISI and even with the luxury Daiba. He also said that ISI operatives were using drones to drop weapons into the Punjab region, and that people from these organizations would regularly come to his house. Just think about that, an elected politician with direct links to the terror groups, and all of this is very well documented. So whatever you see in this film about him is not at all exaggerated. If anything, the film has actually shown him in much less cruel light. See, if I have to be honest, I felt this scene was absolutely unnecessary in the film. I literally had to keep my eyes closed the entire time because it was too violent and too atrocious for me. But it turns out it happened in real life. Usair Baloch killed a rival gangster named Arshad Pappu and played football with his head in real life. It's spine-chilling to even think about that. Usair Baloch was one of the most feared names in Karachi, and after Rahman Dakoit's death, he literally became a king there. He killed his enemy Arshad Pappu and dumped his mutilated body in the drainage, and eyewitnesses are saying he literally played football with the head of Arshad Pappu. By 2014, Usair Baloch was no longer just a local gangster. He had 50 plus cases on him, extortion, murders, even killing police officers. When the police finally came for him, he ran away from the Pakistan. But in 2015, Interpol caught him at the Dubai airport and brought him back to the Pakistan, exactly like how it was shown in the movie. And you remember the climax scene where Hamza handed over Usair as a spy to the Pakistani police so that he can escape from Pakistan? Turns out that also happened in real life. Usair Baloch was convicted for 12 years for spying on Pakistan. But the only twist is it's not for India as it was shown in the movies, but for the Iranian military. There's a scene in the movie where there's an intense gunfight happening between the gangsters and the police officers, and a reporter is reporting in the middle of gunfires, which seems unbelievable in real life. But turns out this is also real.
देख सकते कि कुछ पता नहीं चलता, अचानक चारों तरफ से फायरिंग शुरू हो जाती है.
The police officer is Chaudhry Aslam Khan. He was a senior superintendent of police in the Sindh region and one of the most feared encounter specialists Pakistan had ever seen. He did not treat gangster leaders like some powerful men. He treated them like some ordinary criminals, and that attitude drove the gangs crazy. He started raiding areas that had been off limits for years, arrested Rahman's men, shut down drug gudons, disrupted the extortion routes, and Rahman tried everything to stop him. Aslam's convoy was attacked, his house was bombed, and several police officers died in that, but Aslam did not step back. He actually got more aggressive. He publicly named Rahman on television and declared he would clean Karachi no matter what. Their rivalry became a personal war. By 2008, the Sindh police formed a special team and made Aslam the head of the operation to take Rahman Dakoit down. On August 9, 2009, Aslam got the breakthrough. He led a raid near the outskirts of the Karachi, and there was a fierce gunfight, and Rahman Dakoit was killed in that, exactly like the climax of Dhurandhar Part 1. Then on January 9, 2014, a jumped onto Aslam's car, exactly what we saw in Dhurandhar Part 2. I'll tell you something new. Reportedly, Sanjay Dutt was Aslam Chaudhry's favorite actor, and in real life in Dhurandhar 2, Sanjay Dutt actually plays his role. And before he died, he told his wife apparently, one day movies will be made on my life story, which kind of happened now. So in the film, there's a character called Pinda who was a dealer and the childhood friend of our hero Hamza. Turns out, this character was also real. Harvinder Singh Sandhu, who went by the nickname Rinda. He was declared a terrorist by the central government of India, and reports say that he had direct links with the Pakistan-based militant groups and was involved in cross-border smuggling of arms, ammunition, and on a massive scale. In 2022, he was declared dead due to an alleged overdose in Pakistan. And now you connect the dots. In the film, there's a character called Major Iqbal, the Pakistani mastermind behind the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. In real life, this character is believed to be based on Ilyas Kashmiri, and he wasn't just any other militant, he was a former Pakistani Special Forces operative who later became a commander. He was one of the handlers of the 26/11, sitting in Pakistan guiding the attackers over the phone. In 2011, the US Army killed him with a drone. So the villain you see in the film is not fictional. He's based on a real person, someone who actually carried out all these attacks and whose story ended in a drone attack by the US military. This guy, Javed Kanani, was the director of a major money exchange firm in Pakistan. On paper, he was just a businessman, but investigators say that he was a key conduct of the terror financing, and he was allegedly involved in sending fake Indian currency notes into the Indian market. Fake money used as a financial weapon. Now look at the timing here. November 8, 2016, India announces demonetization.
500 rupee and 1000 rupee currency notes presently in use will no longer be legal tender from midnight to night.
Overnight, the entire fake currency network becomes absolutely useless, and just 27 days later, on December 5, 2016, Kanani falls from a building in Karachi exactly how it was shown in the movie. He fell on a transformer and police called it, but only God would know the actual story, or maybe the Indian intelligence would know. In December 1999, the Indian Airlines flight IC-814 was hijacked. The plane was taken to Kandahar in Afghanistan. 155 passengers were held hostage for 7 whole days, and in the end, India was forced to release several terrorists from Indian prison, including Masood Azhar, who later went on to found Jaish-e-Mohammed, the same particular group behind the Pulwama attack in 2019 that killed 40 Indian soldiers. Now in Dhurandhar 2, this guy challenges our Indian officer. That character is based on a real man, Zahur Mistry. He was one of the hijackers of the IC-814, and after the hijacking, he kind of disappeared into Pakistan, changed his identity, started a furniture business apparently in Karachi, and for more than 20 years, he lived like a ghost. Then on March 1st, 2022, he was shot dead in Karachi by unidentified man who came on a motorcycle, and no group claimed responsibility. Just think about it. A man who hijacked an Indian plane in 1999, spent 23 years hiding, and then was killed all of a sudden in a broad daylight. Who did it? Nobody knows. At least officially nobody knows. Over the last 3 years, around 30 people linked to anti-India activists have been killed in Pakistan. Zahur Mistry and many other people shot dead in Karachi, in Lahore, across different cities. Pakistani authorities say they cannot identify who is doing this. No group has claimed any responsibility for any of these killings, and the perpetrators leave no trace. But what is happening is very clear. One by one, people who are involved in operations against India are being eliminated systematically. And this is exactly what the world of Dhurandhar 2 is actually showing you. A world of covert operations, a state-level chess games where a lot of things happen, but nothing is officially recorded. The film calls it fiction, but this pattern, the actual documented pattern of deaths, is real. Let me be direct. The characters you see is real. The incidents are documented. The faces in the film closely resembles the actual people they are based on. We have Pakistani newspaper reports and the court records confirming the same. Aditya Dar has taken the real people and real incidents and built a cinematic story around them. Yes, some of the timelines have been adjusted, but that's pretty much the only major creative liberty they have taken. Now, many people are calling this a propaganda film, but think about it for a second. Every filmmaker has a perspective and they have the right to put it on screen. The real question is never whether a film has a perspective. Every film does. We have seen a lot of films which we called it as a propaganda film. Either it is right or left wing. The real question is, are the facts real? Atiq Ahmed's ISI links are real. Chaudhry Aslam's story is real. Usaib Baloch's story is real. Ilyas Kashmiri's role is real. Javed Kanani's death is real. And even Rahman Dakat's story is real. You know, there's a scene where the character inspired by the Ajit Doval, the Madhavan's character, asked the hijacked passenger to say Bharat Mata Ki Jai. I saw a lot of people trolling it in the internet, but turns out that also actually happened in real life. So now if I have to address the question, is Dhurandhar movie a propaganda? That kind of depends on what you choose to believe. I couldn't find any propaganda there. But is it completely fictional? Absolutely not. And honestly, even if you remove all of this noise around, just watch it as a film. It's one of the most well-made movies I've seen in a very long time. The cinematography, the performances, and the real stories connecting everything together just brilliantly worked. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it.